Hello everybody, Monday, Parshas Ekev, Tafshin Pevav, and welcome back to another Halachah Spotlight brought to you by OTN. For the first time, that's pretty exciting, we have a listener-submitted question. The person actually gets a Mazel. He had a baby girl, and he wanted to know, what would Rav Moshe and Rav David say about making a Shechianu when you have a baby girl? So, let's jump in. The Shulchan Aruch, based on the Gemara, tells us that when you have a boy, you make Hatayev Yametiv. It's strongly mashma that if you have a girl, you do not make Hatayev Yametiv. But it sounds like there is no bracha for a girl because the Paiskim don't say anything. However, says the Mishabura that you will make a Shechianu. Why? It's not any worse than when you see a friend who you haven't seen in a while. Just like there you make a Shechianu because of the great Simcha, so too when you see your daughter for the first time, you have a great Simcha, you would make a Shechianu. Why don't the Paiskim say it? It's Pashan, it's obvious, they don't have to bother saying it. That's the Mishabura Shita, that yes, you make a Shechianu when you have a baby girl. Someone sent a Shiloh to Rav Moshe, and it's printed in Igros Moshe Arachai and Chilik Hey, asking him if he agrees to this Mishabura. And Rav Moshe says he does. He thinks it's very likely the Paiskim didn't bother saying it because it's so pashut, and absolutely la halacha, a person should make a shechianu when they have a baby girl. And Rav David passed like this as well. So the answer to the question is yes. According to Rav Moshe and Rav David, when a person has a baby girl, they do make a shechianu. But here's the catch. Until when could you make the shechianu? It doesn't last forever. Rav David explained, since the whole idea is that you have a high level of simcha, the simcha doesn't last, it begins to fade. And once it fades, you're not able to make the shechianu anymore. When did it start to fade? Rav David said in his Ashara, he believes that once the parents and the baby leave the hospital, he feels the simcha is already a little bit lower, we're no longer confident that you're able to make a shechianu, so you don't make a shechianu at that point anymore. But when they're still in the hospital, those few days, you would be able to make the shechianu. I don't know what Rav David would say if the baby was still in the NICU and the parents left, yesh l'ayyin, but in a typical standard case, once the parents and the baby leave the hospital, you can no longer make a shechianu. Rav Moshe, quoted in a sefer, Eim Habanim Semecha, says a little bit more lenient. He says you have until a week. First week you have to make the shechianu, but Rav David was a little bit more machmir. He held no. He felt that once you leave the hospital already, the simcha is too low for us to allow you to make a shechianu. Now, parenthetically, Rav David said for a boy, where you make hatayev yametiv, the shir, the zman, is a little bit different. Because since you have a mitzvah, a bris milah, you can even make the bracha until the bris, till after the bris. Because since you're involved in the mitzvahs with the child, the simcha is still very strong. And if it's your firstborn son and he's having a pidyon ben, you got even more time. You can make the bracha until after the pidyon ben. This actually happened to me. I forgot to make hatayev yametiv when my bachar was born, and at the pidyon ben, I remembered. So I asked Rav David at the pidyon ben, I said, do I make that hatayev yametiv? And he said, yes. You caught it in the nick of time, because had you already did the Maisa Pidyon when the Pidyon Ben was finished, then it would be too late to make that hatayev yametiv. But because the Maisa Pidyon didn't happen yet, you could still make that hatayev yametiv now. You're still involved in the mitzvahs that have to do with this child, and therefore you could still make the hatayev yametiv. So I made the bracha on the spot, and just in the nick of time. Okay, now if you have a question that you would like to be featured on the Halachah Spotlight, please feel free to submit it. All the best. Take care.